So every time I like something that is even remotely polarizing, I get a few comments every single time, like clockwork, of people just bewildered by this. Just, what? You like this thing? But this thing's so flawed. How could you like this thing? There's a reason it's so polarizing. Why are you being so hypocritical? Why aren't you putting the same critical lens to it that you put to Dragon Ball Super and Batman v Superman? And to those people I say, motherfucker, I am. Like, I'm not holding necessarily different things to different standards. I kind of have like the same standards across the board, to be honest. I mean, yeah, like, I can admit, like, a lot of things that I like are heavily flawed, but just because they're flawed doesn't mean I'm not entitled to like them, and I'm not entitled to outright love them. Obviously, the biggest offender of this as of late was The Last Jedi, where, you know, I love The Last Jedi. I love The Last Jedi a fuck ton. And I got a lot of shit for that. And a lot of people just being like, you know, how could you like this? I even had, like I said, I straight up had someone tell me, like, you know, if you were as critical to The Last Jedi as you are Dragon Ball Super, you would, you know, not like that movie, you know. And I'm like, that's bullshit, because I am going in with the same critical lens that I put the Dragon Ball Super, you know. And people seem to not get that, like, yeah, like, I can understand something's flawed. Now, honestly, like, yeah, some of the complaints with The Last Jedi are really more of people's personal complaints. The Last Jedi isn't what they want in a Star Wars movie. It's changing what they thought Star Wars is, and that's perfectly fine. You are entitled to be bothered by that and not like the movie for it. But to say that, like, I should not like this movie and find it flawed on those same merits, I think is just kind of ignorant, because like those are things that I just don't give a shit about. No, I don't care like how the Force is depicted. No, I don't care, like, yeah, honestly, I like how the Force has been depicted in The Last Jedi. I really do. Like the Force feels magical and grand again. I love how Luke is portrayed. Like, it may not be your interpretation of Luke or how you think Luke should have developed from there, or how even Mark Hamill thinks Luke should have developed from there. But I think it's a more interesting turn to take for his character than just having him be the same old wise mentor that we've seen from Obi-Wan and Yoda and fucking Qui-Gon Jinn. Like, you know, the fact that he's just completely just divorced from the Jedi. Like you know, he's, you know, all of like the wonder is gone from his eyes, and he's this old, surly, broken curmudgeon of a man. Like that's, and he has to pull himself back up from that. Like, that is a character that's, like, you know, worth being invested in to me. It may not be the Luke Skywalker that you wanted, but it's sure as shit the Luke Skywalker I wanted. Oh, it's got SJW propaganda. I can kind of sort of see that. I don't have a problem with it because it's not overt, it's not offensive, and I don't think they're necessarily making bad points in the movie. So, I don't care about that. It's got minorities in my Star Wars! They're ruining my Star Wars with the blacks and the Chinese! Go to hell. If you're one of those people, go to hell. There's too many strong women in my Star Wars! I want big dick swinging awesome guys in my Star Wars! You can go to hell too. I don't have fucking time for you people. All that shit aside, yeah, I mean, The Last Jedi's got some problems. I think the second act drags a little too long. You know, and obviously it has kind of almost a fourth act tacked on that you really don't need if you want to be honest. But if you want to split hairs, A New Hope had a fourth act. You know, you didn't need to go fucking battle the Death Star. Really, things just could have ended with them saving Leia. But, you know, we had to go fight the Death Star. Honestly, like, its flaws just pale in comparison to everything I think it does amazingly well. And obviously, the things I think it does amazingly well are things that some people just outright fucking hate. And you're entitled to that. But, you know, whatever the fuck. Like what you like. I'm gonna like what I like. But it doesn't just end with The Last Jedi. Pretty much anything, like I said, that's remotely polarizing, I get shit for to some extent. Devilman Crybaby is an example where it's just like, oh, but like, it's nowhere near as good as the manga, and it's junkily paced, and blah, 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 blah. And, I mean, I've never read the manga, so I don't know, because the manga hasn't had a US release. Not yet, it hasn't. It's getting one soon, and I will be certainly picking that up. But as far as the anime goes, like I said, I love that anime. It's definitely a flawed show. Specifically, like, I think its pacing is really kind of junky in the middle specifically. Especially when they introduce Akira's parents and they've already been eaten by a demon and I have no context for them and I have no emotional attachment to them. Yeah, I know it's Akira's parents, but it's like they're here to just show up and die. I have had no time to be invested in these fucking people. So I don't give a shit, so I thought that was trying to be cheap and manipulative on an emotional level, and it just didn't work for me, and I didn't like that at all. That being said, though, a lot of the things I do like. I like its hyper-stylized visuals. I like just how visceral and raw the violence is. I already did a whole fucking video about how it compartmentalizes its spectacle-based violence from its visceral violence. And like, I really love that, just how far it's willing to go with those things. How hyper-sexualized it is, and just how fucking balls to the wall that whole goddamn series went. So yeah, like Devilman Crybaby, it's flawed, but I mean, it's the things that make it great elevate it far beyond its flaws can ever drag it down, and that's why I still hold it in such high esteem. In fact, really, a lot of things that I like the most tend to be really flawed things because they offer me something that more polished content isn't going to. A really good example of this is last year, superhero movies. You know, we had 3 Marvel movies last year, all of them pretty damn good. You know, they're Marvel movies. They have polished that fucking formula to a mere shine. My favorite superhero movie last year? Wonder Woman. Was Wonder Woman the best superhero movie of last year? Fuck no. In fact, since I didn't see Justice League, Wonder Woman, I would say, is the worst goddamn superhero movie I saw last year. But it's still my favorite regardless, because of what it provided to me as a viewer. It gave me something that I have not had in a superhero movie since Spider-Man 2, and that is a completely selfless, heroic act. Wonder Woman walking down Dead Man's Land, you know, shield hunkered down, bullets cascading upon her, is one of the most spectacular, awe-inspiring moments I've seen in a comic book movie in a very long time. Like I said, Spider-Man 2, the train scene, you know what I'm talking about. And very few people will argue that that movie doesn't just fall the fuck apart in its last act. It does. I can admit that. And it's fine, because I think the first act is still really strong. I think the second act is incredibly goddamn strong. And the third act, like I said, it does fall apart, specifically during the big dumb DBZ battle. But even during that, it still is able to have a genuine human moment when Steve Trevor looks at Wonder Woman and says, you know, I'll save the day, you save the world, and he goes off and sacrifices himself. It's fucking beautiful. I loved it. Like I said, probably the worst superhero movie of last year. Hands down my favorite one. And if you're wondering, like, okay, well, then what about all the things that you just, you know, hate and you trash on all the goddamn time? You know, what about, like, looking past, you know, its flaws to highlight the great things they do? Because I don't really think they do enough great things, to be honest. Batman v Superman's a fucking mess. It doesn't make sense on a narrative level, on a character level. It's junkily fucking paced. I haven't seen the extended cut, and I hear it fixed the pacing, but it's still not gonna fucking magically give characters proper character motivations. It's not gonna fix Doomsday showing up in the last fucking bit of the film and Wonder Woman just being shoehorned in there and her having this really stupid backstory about trying to find a fucking digital photo of all goddamn things. Like, the reason I can't see past Batman v Superman's flaws to see the great things, because I don't really think it has great things to it. You know, it has a few nice looking shots. I think the first, like, intro scene with, like, Bruce, like, in the city when it's collapsing, you know, during Man of Steel, I think that's really well put together. I do think Zack Snyder's a really great filmmaker in terms of capturing an image. I think the Batman warehouse fight was fucking badass, even though I don't like the fact that he was straight up goddamn murdering people. But those are just tiny, superficial little things. Like, even though I like, yeah, I could pick out, like, yeah, I like this, and that Wonder Woman theme is fucking baller too. that's not going to make up for the 2.5 hours of just straight up bullshit I did not like, or I actively did not like, or fucking hated viscerally, or was just goddamn bored by. Super is another example where, like, yeah, like, there are plenty of episodes of Dragon Ball Super that I genuinely like. Some that I would say borderline on goddamn great. But there's so much flat, boring, poorly fucking directed and written bullshit to get to the good parts. It just isn't worth it to me. SAO, another thing I trash on. I fucking hate Kirito. I don't think it takes advantage of its world or like the concept that it's rolling with. Instead, it just fucking provides an empowerment fantasy for 14-year-old boys where they get to be the coolest badass dude ever for playing a video game where all the women want to fuck him. That is all that show is. I'm not 14. I don't get off on that shit. You know, Log Horizon does the exact same premise as Sword Art Online and does it way fucking better because it has a relatable character, relatable characters. You know, they're not all just there to try to fuck the main dude for being the coolest, most badass guy. The main character's a total badass, but he's not a badass in combat. He's a badass tactician. He's a savvy, intelligent person who is really good at motivating other people. You know, that's what, you know, he builds an entire society within this game. Because, like, honestly, like, I was really looking forward to in Sword Art Online seeing, like, how they're going to build a social structure. And then they completely just time jump, gloss right over it. Oh, I guess we're just not going to touch on that. All right, well, fuck. Really would have liked to have seen that. So, yeah, SAO. It's few highlights. It's like, what, Asuna's like a really hot character design. There's some nice looking fight scenes every now and then, and it's fucking, you know, 14-year-old pandering wank materials. All it is. It's that empowering bullshit that I just can't get into. And one last note that I want to close this thing out on is that I am not the only person who just picks up entertainment, praising it for how amazing it is, while ignoring its glaring flaws. Everybody does it. And I think the best example that I could pull for this is The Dark Knight. Very few people will tell you that The Dark Knight is a bad movie. Most people will tell you it's one of Christopher Nolan's best movies, if not his best movie. That it's the best Batman movie, that it's the best superhero movie. That is a phenomenal movie, and it got robbed at the fucking Oscars for not even being goddamn nominated. And I agree with a lot of these sentiments that, you know, is fucking phenomenal. It's one of the best Batman movies, one of the best Christopher Nolan films. It is a phenomenal movie. The Joker doesn't make goddamn sense in it. I don't really think I need to go too in-depth on this because there are plenty of people who have brought this point up before, but the Joker does not make sense in that movie. Like, the level of strategic planning that he does is fucking impossible. That whole section in the middle of the film where he's going after Harvey Dent because he thinks he's Batman, but apparently he didn't actually think he's Batman, so, you know, he has, like, Harvey Dent kidnapped along with Rachel Dawes, even though he was trying to kill Harvey Dent earlier, and then, like, he knew that he was able to, like, get Batman to, like, you know, go save Rachel and not save Harvey Dent or vice versa. And yeah, no, like, the whole fucking thing doesn't make sense. Like, he would have to be goddamn psychic. But it doesn't matter because the way it's presented, it's exciting. It's extremely well paced, and it keeps you just on the edge of your seat of what's going to happen next. Regardless of the fact that it doesn't make any goddamn sense, it grips you as an audience member, and you completely overlook it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I do the exact same thing. Like I said, I think it's a phenomenal fucking movie. I'm not going to shit on that movie at all. But it is flawed, and you can't argue that. That whole element of the film doesn't make goddamn sense. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because it provided you with something that you were looking for in your entertainment. An exciting, thrilling Batman film, you know, a fucking phenomenal performance by Heath Ledger as one of the most sinister, unhinged, terrifying iterations of the Joker, and a really just human story at the end of the day that was just intense and gripping and awesome as fuck. And yeah, I overlook flaws in entertainment if the entertainment has something for me to really sink my teeth into. Is it densely packed with a lot of nuance and like character moments, or maybe certain specific character beats, or character developments, or maybe it touches on specific themes. Does it have the stuff that I'm looking for in my entertainment? Then yeah, of course, I'm going to like it. Sure, I might not like certain parts of it, but as long as those parts are kept to a minimum, I'm going to overlook them. Because at the end of the day, I had a great time watching something, and it was the exact thing I was looking for in my entertainment. So yeah, the next time, guys, Zeon, out.